Welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring something pretty unique, vegan caviar.
Ooh, fun.
I know it sounds a little unexpected,
It does.
but it might just be the future of this luxury food.
I think you're right, and it's a really fascinating world to dive into.
It is, before we get into the vegan version, though,
Right.
we have to understand what makes traditional caviar such a delicacy in the first place.
Absolutely.
Um, so think sturgeon fish from the Caspian and Black Seas.
Yeah.
A very long and intricate harvesting process,
Mm-hmm.
and even a grading system,
Oh, wow.
much like diamonds.
So, like, there's different levels
Yeah.
of quality.
So the highest grade beluga is prized for its large, pale, and perfectly smooth eggs.
Yes, it's really something to behold when you see it like that.
You can imagine the effort that goes into harvesting and preparing something so delicate.
Yeah, it's quite a process.
But with all that exclusivity comes some pretty hefty concerns, right? Overfishing, questionable farming practices.
For sure. Yeah, those are big issues.
Huge issues.
Hmm.
And these concerns are precisely why vegan caviar is gaining so much traction.
Yeah, I see that.
Imagine enjoying that same luxurious experience, but with a clear conscience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's guilt-free indulgence.
Okay, so walk me through this. How on earth do you create caviar without the fish?
Okay.
What are these vegan alternatives actually made of?
So there are a few different approaches, and
Okay.
it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
One popular option is Caviart, which is made from seaweed.
Seaweed caviar.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's pretty remarkable. They've managed to capture that like briny, salty pop that's so characteristic of real caviar.
I'm intrigued.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
What other options are out there?
So another intriguing option is balsamic pearls.
Okay.
Have you heard of those?
I have not.
So these are a bit different. They're made using molecular gastronomy techniques
Whoa.
and offer a tangy burst of balsamic flavor in every bite.
Molecular gastronomy. Break that down a bit for our listeners who might not be familiar with the term.
Okay.
What does that even involve?
So it's essentially the science of cooking.
Okay.
And it involves using scientific principles to create innovative textures and flavors. So think spherification, jellification,
Okay.
techniques that transform ingredients in kind of unexpected ways.
Like turning balsamic vinegar into caviar.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So in the case of balsamic pearls, they use a process that encapsulates tiny droplets of balsamic vinegar
Oh, wow.
in a delicate caviar-like shell.
So it's like taking balsamic vinegar and turning it into these tiny, flavorful bursts.
Right.
That sounds amazing.
It's a pretty unique experience.
Okay.
But what's really interesting is that both Caviart and balsamic pearls offer a completely vegan
Right.
and arguably more sustainable way to enjoy that caviar-like experience.
Okay, let's get to the taste. I'm assuming it's not an exact replica of traditional caviar.
Right.
How close does it come? Can you really get that same briny, slightly fishy flavor from plants?
You might be surprised.
Oh.
Many vegan caviars do a fantastic job of mimicking that signature taste. They use things like seaweed or other natural ingredients to create that briny depth.
Okay.
Of course, there can be subtle differences.
Right.
Some might lean slightly sweeter or have a hint of earthiness depending on the ingredients.
Interesting.
But overall, the resemblance is pretty remarkable.
That's impressive. But what about the texture? Caviar is all about that satisfying pop, right? Can vegan alternatives really replicate that sensation?
That's a great question. And it's one of the things that makes these plant-based caviars so interesting.
Okay.
Seaweed, for instance, has a natural pop when you bite into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and some manufacturers also use innovative techniques to recreate that firm, bursting texture that traditional caviar is known for.
So they're not just trying to mimic the flavor, but the entire sensory experience.
Yeah, they're aiming to create a holistic experience,
Wow.
from the visual appeal to the mouthfeel.
Really interesting.
It's fascinating how much thought and effort goes into these plant-based alternatives.
So it's not just about swapping out fish eggs for seaweed.
Right.
There's a real art and science behind crafting these vegan caviars.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's this dedication to innovation that's helping to elevate vegan cuisine
Yeah.
beyond simple substitutions.
I'm officially hooked.
Great.
But before we go any further,
Sure.
I think we need to talk about the environmental impact.
Okay.
We've touched on the problems with traditional caviar production, but how do these vegan alternatives compare?
Yeah.
Are they really a more sustainable choice?
That's where they truly shine.
Okay.
Remember, we're talking about plant-based ingredients, which by nature have a much smaller environmental footprint
Right.
compared to farming or harvesting fish.
Okay.
Many producers also prioritize organic and sustainable practices,
Mm-hmm.
further minimizing their impact on the planet.
So not only are they a kinder choice for the fish, but a much lighter footprint on the planet overall.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And this focus on sustainable practices often extends to the packaging as well.
Oh, wow.
You'll often find them using recyclable materials
Okay.
or minimizing waste throughout the production process.
That's good to hear. I have to admit, I'm already starting to see vegan caviar in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about the ethical aspects.
Right.
It's also about embracing a more conscious and responsible way of enjoying food.
I think that's a key part of its appeal.
Yeah.
People are becoming more aware of the impact their food choices have on the environment,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking for alternatives that align with their values.
Well said. And I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface here.
I think so too.
There's so much more to explore about vegan caviar.
Definitely a lot more to uncover.
I'm ready to dive deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered kind of the basics,
Yeah.
what vegan caviar is, how it's made,
Right.
and the environmental benefits. But now I'm really curious about the health aspect.
Mhm.
We know traditional caviar is considered this delicacy, but it's also pretty high in calories and cholesterol.
Yeah, it can be.
How do these vegan alternatives stack up nutritionally?
That's a great question. And it's another area where vegan caviar often has an edge
Okay.
because they're plant-based. They tend to be lower in calories and cholesterol
Okay.
compared to traditional caviar.
Gotcha.
But that's not all.
Oh,
They also often offer some nutritional benefits.
interesting. Like what?
Well, depending on the specific ingredients, they can be good sources of things like fiber, vitamins, and minerals.
Hmm.
Seaweed, for example, is known to be rich in iodine, which is important for thyroid health.
So it's not just a matter of what they lack,
Right.
but also what they add to the equation.
Exactly. And this focus on nutritional value really speaks to the broader trend of health-conscious eating.
Yeah,
People aren't just looking for delicious food anymore.
right.
They want options that nourish their bodies as well.
It's like having your cake and eating it, too. Indulgence without the guilt.
Guilt-free indulgence, exactly.
But I have to ask, does the health aspect ever compromise the taste or texture?
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, many people find that the flavors of vegan caviar are even brighter
Oh,
and more pronounced than traditional caviar.
interesting.
And the textures we discussed earlier can be remarkably similar with that satisfying plop
Yeah.
and delicate mouthfeel.
This is making me seriously reconsider what luxury food can be.
Yeah.
It's like we're redefining indulgence, making it more aligned with our values and our well-being.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about creating a more holistic and conscious approach to enjoying food.
Okay, so we've talked about taste, texture, sustainability, and health benefits.
have.
But there's one aspect of traditional caviar that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
The experience.
Yeah.
Caviar isn't just about the food itself.
Right.
It's about the presentation, the ritual,
Mm.
the whole feeling of indulgence.
It's an experience.
Can vegan caviar truly capture that same magic?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
And it's something that's being explored and redefined as vegan caviar gains popularity.
Okay.
Part of the traditional caviar experience
Yeah.
is tied to its history, its exclusivity,
Right.
and its high price tag.
Of course.
It's a status symbol,
Mm-hmm.
a way to impress guests.
So how does vegan caviar fit into that?
Right.
Does it try to replicate that same level of exclusivity,
Okay.
or is it carving its own path?
I think it's finding a balance.
Okay.
On the one hand, you see vegan caviar being presented in beautiful, elegant ways,
Yeah.
often using sustainable packaging.
Right.
That enhances the experience.
Gotcha.
It's still very much about creating a sense of luxury and occasion.
But on the other hand,
On the other hand, it's also about creating a new kind of luxury,
okay.
one that's more aligned with modern values.
Mhm.
It's not just about the price tag or the rarity.
Right.
It's about the story behind the food,
Yeah.
the ethical considerations,
Mhm.
the commitment to sustainability.
So instead of impressing guests with a rare and expensive delicacy,
Right.
you're showcasing your awareness
Yeah.
and commitment to a better world.
Exactly. It's a different kind of statement.
Yeah.
And for many, it's even more meaningful.
Interesting.
It's about aligning your values with your culinary choices.
You know, the more we talk about this, the more I'm starting to see vegan caviar not just as a substitute,
Yeah,
but as a completely different category of food.
I think you're right.
It's not about trying to perfectly replicate traditional caviar.
Mhm.
It's about creating a new and exciting experience that reflects evolving tastes and values.
I couldn't agree more. And it's exciting to see how this is influencing the culinary world as a whole. Chefs are experimenting with new flavors, textures, and presentations, pushing the boundaries of what plant-based cuisine can be.
It sounds like a culinary revolution is brewing.
It really does.
But let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the positives of vegan caviar, but I'm curious, what are some of the challenges it faces?
Okay.
What might hinder its wider adoption?
That's an important question.
Yeah.
One challenge is simply awareness.
Okay.
Many people are still unfamiliar with vegan caviar,
Right.
or have misconceptions about its taste and quality.
So it's about getting the word out.
Exactly.
Letting people know that this is a viable and delicious option.
Education is key. Another challenge is accessibility.
Okay.
While vegan caviar is becoming more widely available,
Right.
it's not yet as easy to find as traditional caviar,
Sure.
especially in certain regions.
And I imagine the price point might be a barrier for some.
That's true.
Yeah.
Vegan caviar can be quite expensive,
Okay.
often rivaling the cost of traditional caviar.
Wow.
This is due in part to the specialized ingredients and production methods involved.
Right.
However, as demand increases
Yeah.
and production becomes more efficient,
Right.
we might see prices become more accessible over time.
Makes sense. So it's a matter of overcoming those hurdles.
Right.
And making vegan caviar more accessible, both physically and financially.
Exactly. And I believe that as more people discover the deliciousness and versatility of vegan caviar, those hurdles will be overcome.
Yeah.
There's a growing market for sustainable, ethical,
Right.
and health-conscious food choices.
Of course.
And vegan caviar fits perfectly into that niche.
It's an exciting time to be a foodie.
It really is.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a major shift in how we think about and consume food.
I agree.
But before we get too carried away,
Sure.
let's pause for a quick break
Okay.
and come back with some final thoughts on what the future holds for vegan caviar
All right.
and the broader world of plant-based cuisine. All right, so we've explored, the ins and outs of vegan caviar, the good, the challenging, and everything in between. But now I'm curious, what does the future hold for this innovative food? Will it remain kind of a niche product for the select few, or does it have the potential to go mainstream?
I really believe it has the potential to become much more than just a niche product. We're already seeing a growing interest in plant-based foods across all demographics.
Sure.
And vegan caviar is perfectly positioned to capitalize on that trend.
What makes you so optimistic?
Well, for starters, it addresses several key consumer concerns: sustainability,
Yeah.
ethical sourcing, and health.
Right.
As people become more aware of these issues, they're seeking out alternatives that align with their values.
Right.
Vegan caviar ticks all those boxes.
That's a great point. It's not just about following a trend.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices that reflect this broader shift in how we think about food.
Absolutely.
But what about the taste?
Yeah.
Can vegan caviar truly satisfy, those who crave that unique flavor and experience of traditional caviar?
Absolutely. As we've discussed, vegan caviar has gone a long way in terms of taste and texture.
Yep.
It's not just about mimicking traditional caviar. It's about creating a whole new world of flavors and culinary experiences.
So you're saying it's not just a substitute, but a culinary innovation in its own right.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
Chefs are experimenting with different types of seaweed, incorporating unique flavor profiles, and pushing the boundaries of what vegan caviar can be.
It sounds like a delicious revolution is brewing.
It does.
But let's not forget about the challenges we discussed earlier.
Right.
Accessibility and price are still barriers for many.
Yeah.
How do we overcome those hurdles and make vegan caviar more widely available?
I think it's a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First, we need to continue raising awareness about vegan caviar and its benefits.
Right.
The more people know about it,
Yeah.
the more demand will grow, leading to increased production
Right.
and hopefully lower prices.
So it's about education and advocacy.
Exactly.
Getting the word out there and changing perceptions.
Right.
What else can be done?
Innovation is key.
Okay.
As technology advances, we might see even more sophisticated methods for producing vegan caviar,
Yeah.
potentially using different types of seaweed or other plant-based ingredients.
And
This could lead to more affordable and diverse options.
So it's about exploring new possibilities, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with plant-based ingredients.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring to think about.
It is.
And I believe that with continued innovation
Hmm.
and consumer demand, vegan caviar has the potential to become a mainstream delicacy,
Yeah.
enjoyed by a wide range of people who value sustainability, ethics, and delicious food.
I love that vision.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
It is,
The planet, the animals, and our taste buds.
for sure.
Well, this has been an incredible conversation.
Yes.
I have learned so much about vegan caviar.
We do.
And I am excited to see what the future holds for this innovative food.
I think it's going to be bright.
And I hope that our listeners will, join us in embracing this culinary evolution and exploring the amazing world of plant-based cuisine.
Absolutely. Be adventurous, try new
Good.
things, and see what's out there.
Well said. To our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of vegan caviar.